Hello and welcome back to Design. In our previous episode, we spoke generically about how to start designing your home, how to pick your architect, and so on. Today, we're going to be going a little more in depth with architect Hamd al-Fawaz about how to design a home that isn't your typical, a home that is made and tailored for the owner experience. Later on, we'll be talking about how do we funnel these requirements and needs into actual physical elements, requirement sheets and to-do lists, and everything in between. Hello and welcome back. We're here in this really beautiful design by architect Hamd al-Fawaz. Thank you for having us here today.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would really like to know about your thought process and how you came up with this design. Could you give us just generally how you approached it?
I believe good design comes from good client as well.
Right.
Because a unique, bold design needs a unique, bold client. So I believe it's a process for both of us to create such a nice building.
So many clients come with a mindset of the box mentality.
Yeah.
How can you convince a client, and I often ask any architect we meet this question, how can we convince clients that this isn't what you need?
As I told you, good design come with both good architect and good client. So to create such a unique space, we need to, in a way, we need to think and with the client starting from the requirements. And then if you remember at the Corona time where we were locked inside our houses, so many people, although we have big houses, but it wasn't really functional for us. It wasn't...
It was dull.
And it's boring in a way. So now, for me as an architect, first of all, we should take down the requirement down, because if the requirement is down or less requirement, I can be more creative by creating such a pool area, double height areas, to make the house is more fun for the client and the family in general.
This way you can spend more time, have more different activities and functions within your space, because you don't need such huge spaces with not much to do.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
And I can give you an example. Like, for example, back in the Kuwaiti culture, they always want to have a reception area plus a daily living area.
Right.
But now, this is when the plots were a little bit bigger, 750 or 1,000 square meter. Now most of the plots are smaller, which is 400, 375 square meter. So the requirement must go down, even for us as an architect to have more creative areas.
Very true.
Yeah.
You mentioned requirements, and I gotta ask, what was the most bizarre or unusual requirements that you get?
Let me think. Yeah, I remember one. I think there is a guy, he came, and I think he's a scuba diver instructor.
Wow.
And he asked for a house with like a double basement to have a scuba diving area instead of swimming pool, a scuba diving area within his house, which is like 15 meter deep. And I told him this is too much and it will cost you a lot.
Right.
And I don't know if this is okay for municipality to give you permission back then.
I don't know. I heard that you can do double basement, but it's like if you can afford a single basement, good luck with a double basement,
Yes,
right?
it's recently it became okay,
Yeah.
but for a specific requirement, maybe for people with disabilities,
Really?
that maybe they can't take, although it's very expensive and it might affect even the structure for the neighbor houses. So I'm a little bit skeptical about this rule.
Well, honestly, like I feel there's a lot of rules that should be implemented to give users more spaces and opportunity to design more. Like again, I'll give the example of these modern plots where there's no spaces in between. Now, I noticed that here we have a lot of open spaces.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us an idea about like how did you give back to the client these open spaces, how you placed this living room? I can see the pool here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I have to be honest by saying I am blessed with this client because he came along with his wife. Both of them, they were looking into a unique house,
Right.
different than the typical Kuwaiti requirement, family requirement, by having, as we said, reception, living, and so many places place where we said, no, this is a small house. Our reception is our living, and then. In Kuwait, unfortunately, the macro urban design is nice, but whenever you go to the micro urban design, it's a little bit, because there is no sidewalk,
Yeah.
you can see the car shed is almost in the street.
Yeah.
So I started to convince the client that we should make all the aesthetic aspect internally
Right.
inside the house. That's why, and they accepted to minimize their requirements. So we have this beautiful area where we have like
really
the
nice.
living and the dining and the reception all
Yeah,
in
and I can
one.
see sunlight coming from every direction.
Yes,
It kinda
exactly.
like illuminates
Hopefully,
the
I will
space.
give you a tour later
Yeah,
on,
of
and then their client required to have the swimming pool area on the ground floor with a nice sitting, and then we will have some vertical garden to give
Oh,
them
wow.
some privacy from the neighbor in front.
That is actually very smart because in a way you gave them like, you know, the Japanese term borrowed scenery where it's like outside doesn't really look nice, but you kind of created their own views that framed their, yeah.
Exactly.
It's very beautiful.
Exactly.
And bringing in the green element into the design, I'm sure that kind of like just changes it all.
Of course, greenery is very important. It gives a sense of life for the space.
Of course.
And I always personally support to have such thing.
Nowadays, we often hear clients taking into consideration their children's need and maybe their even grandchildren's need from here to 10 to 20 years ahead. But I find that a little contradictory. How do you predict future needs when you may not really need them?
Yeah, this is like one of the most aggressive challenges, I would say, for Kuwaiti architects.
Right.
Because Kuwaiti architects, they have so many challenges because of the culture, the traditional culture. Like some of the houses, they wanted to be segregated in a way, like a women reception, men reception. Duwaniya should have an exterior access. And then one of the most important challenges as well in the design is they're designing for their children in 10 or 15 years how the house will come, which is a little bit challenging because they think my philosophy for them that especially our houses in Kuwait, because it's made of concrete.
Right.
Most of the walls, some of the walls, it has some columns within. Some of the walls have some piping, electrical piping, conduits, the HVAC shafts there. So some people, they easily think I can remove this wall and do it, and they consider their house as a Lego house. And unfortunately, this is not 100% true or advisable.
It's not practical either,
It's
let's
not
say.
practical,
Yeah.
it's not advisable. So if this is what you want, then you have to compromise. Do you want to enjoy your house for this first 10 years? Well, I want to enjoy the house for my needs in 10 years for my children or my
Yeah.
grandchildren.
And also, like, we don't know what's the technologies that may emerge from here till 10 years ahead.
Yeah.
What if, like, the whole building method changes, right? Why are you designing now from 10 years?
Yeah, that might be something to look into it, but I highly challenge minimize your requirements for I challenge my clients, minimize your requirement, see whatever you want now, and minimize the build-up area, and then maybe to spend more quality on the materials, on the lighting, on the furniture, and this is what makes the house more beautiful and aesthetic.
Very, very true, very true. That's very insightful. You've mentioned a lot of points that I feel like we need to touch down.
Yeah.
We're gonna be talking in our next segment about registering these requirements and how to kind of like funnel these thoughts and concepts into actual like to-do lists, let's say, that can help our clients and our viewers understand better how to go at this process.
Sure.
Welcome back. Earlier, we spoke about designing with experience in mind, making sure the homeowner creates a home that is the unusual, but it's perfect for his needs. We've touched down a little bit on needs, and now I'd like to go further in depth about how you can register those needs and funnel this process into actual, let's say, requirements. So I wanted to ask you first, like, when you first meet a client, your initial meeting, how do you read between the lines?
Usually, I rather for the full family to get involved in the requirement, starting from the husband and mainly the wife, taking all their requirements, and sometimes I discuss the requirement. Whenever I feel there is something is repetitive, do we need this other storage, for example, if we have it here? Do we need the living room if we have a large reception?
You mentioned that the whole family comes in. I think that's a crucial point because many people like design something, then they go home and the whole thing changes, right?
Of course, and so many people ask, or so many clients, they ask friends, family, friends in the Duania, and then they come up with this. So I always tell them to focus with me.
Right.
And then whenever they give me the time for the, or they give me the requirement for the house, I discuss it with them and to make sure that this is exactly what they need. And starting from there, I start my bubble diagram, starting the design, to check the zoning, the services next to each other, the living,
So basically what I got from you is that you take those requirements and you translate them. Can you tell us a little more in depth about this translation?
I would say this is the most creative part of the project, because if I divided the design project into 4 phases, I would say. The concept design and the schematic design mostly is about the creative side of the project, the aesthetic part, where the last 2 phases, the design development and the working drawing, for
It's like technical.
technical, it's just to put all the layers of the electromechanical and the structural and the interior and the architectural drawing all above each other and make sure they fit.
Right.
And then they're coordinated.
Now, I want to go back to that point you mentioned about the stages of design. I want to kind of make it simple to our viewers to understand how we can translate these requirements into these stages.
Yeah.
So you mentioned concept design. Can you tell us exactly what goes into these stages?
The concept design, mainly after taking and setting the requirement with the clients, then it's my time of the project where I try to get into the project requirement and to come up with a nice concept.
Yes.
How to make them happy about it and make them proud.
Special factor.
Yes, I don't want to make it as like another house of the neighborhood. I want
Copy paste, right?
Yes. To think about it from the mood images, come up with like what kind of architectural language the client wants.
Right.
Is it modern? Is it classic?
Do you have a preference?
I believe, and I'm pro modern design because I believe it's the architectural language of the modern days. Yes.
A lot of people come to you with classical designs and classical needs, and when you get that kind of client, you understand immediately that, okay, we need to maximize the area. And
And it costs sometimes, especially for the classic design, it costs more.
Of course.
Because they have so many details and the golden aspect. So I go back to the concept design, starting with mood images to make sure that this is exactly what they want, and the colors as well. Maybe the color is more of in the schematic design, the color template, the material.
Reflects on your material selection.
Of course.
Here I noticed that behind us we have the concrete wall, which is kind of exposed. And I
Yes.
like this is something you take into consideration as you were designing,
From
right?
the beginning. As I told you, I'm blessed with this client that he's trying to get out of the box and use something out of the ordinary. So we use concrete as the final finishing. So many people, they like Sigma, you know, which is straight paint, exterior paint. Some of them, they have Sigma as well as with the stones, which
a
is
very
good.
popular demand.
It is. It's just this specific project, the client, he wants something very modern. And he wanted to, like a brutal statement, so we used it as a concrete.
The stairs as that statement to kind of like wrap around it. That is beautiful.
Of course.
It serves as function and aesthetics and as well as material selection.
Yeah.
So that all happens in the concept stage.
In the concept, then if I come up with like a preliminary massing for the project as well, with a nice studied floor plan starting from the zoning, the circulation, the spacing of each area. Like some people like, for example, if they like food, for example, they like huge kitchen.
I noticed your dumbwaiter here expanding, so that is also something you've taken into consideration, how the
Yes.
food circulated within the space
Yeah.
and it goes into the rooms.
Exactly.
That's also in the concept stage, right?
From the beginning. As long as we start knowing exactly what we want from the beginning, it will help us to come up with the nice idea. And sometimes people little bit and they're stubborn. No, I want this. And I told them maybe the requirement is over needed in this small plot, for example. So whenever they see the first concept, they say, maybe you have a point.
Maybe you know what you're doing.
Yeah, so, okay, let's cancel this and we keep only that. So it's, you have to be smart. And now I know why we take sociology or psychology in college.
We do need
because
to
you have-
understand their mindset.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting aspect because many of them speak things, but they kind of mean different things. So you kind of have to understand a bit of psychology, right?
And before, I remember this, we did a nice design for an old guy, like he's above 75. And when I start telling him, uncle or mister, what kind of language, and he said, yes, modern. And when we did like this beautiful modern house, and then he said, what is this? I mean modern, he meant new. Because in
Neoclassical?
Arabic,
Oh,
but he wants something classic. But modern, when you there is some loss in translation between Arabic and English. But then I started, no, let's check the pictures. So I know exactly what you want.
Yeah, and you were able to convince him in his own language.
Yes, yes. So he knows this is the modern, or this is the classical, or this is the new classical, and etc.
Let's start to close this and talk about the other stages. We have design development and the workshop drawings. These are very crucial points.
Yeah.
Many people, when they design, they kind of like don't realize how important this is. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Okay, just before going or jumping into the working drawings, the schematic design, so whenever we finish or we finalize the concept, then we go to the schematic design. In the schematic design phase, the client, in a way, he sees the house or his project in a 3D. So he sees the facade of the house, the elevation, the lighting language or the lighting strategy, as well as from inside the main interior spaces. So if he likes what he sees, even with a comment, then we transfer or we
Once
move,
it's all finalized.
Yes, then we move to the last two phases, which is design development and the working drawings. It's very rarely to have shop drawings for villas because it's a little bit...
A contractor's job?
and it's very detailed. Maybe they use it for hospitals, hotels, but for such small villas, I don't think it is needed. But so many, unfortunately, design consultants, they just do the minimum needed drawings. And for me, after 10 years in the market and seeing how much important the working drawings are, I needed to make sure that it is coordinated, starting from the architectural layer and then the interior layer, then the structural layer with the electromechanical. And keeping all these layers coordinated is another challenge as much challenge as the aesthetic and creative part.
Of course. So what I understood is that we're going to be translating the concept design into actual drawings. So the designer transfers it into the contractor and they make sure the design is as per what he had intended. Thank you so much for that. It's a beautiful place and a beautiful design. Thank you for enlightening us and giving us this information.
Thank you, Sarah, for having me, and thank you, KTV, too.
What is smart home and what are the applications of smart home? Smart home can be divided over two systems, wired and wireless. The wired has certain applications, for example, in commercial buildings, in hospitals, in government buildings, where you have a huge application of control. On the other hand, you have the wireless system, which is more user-friendly, more scalable, and each system has advantages and disadvantages. So you have to understand each system, understand what your requirement is, so you can select the right system for your home. What are the advantages of having smart home system in your house? We have the three words, we call it the triple C: control, convenience, and cost reduction. In control, the smart home system gives you the ability to control your house, to control every electronic appliance in your house, from shutters, from doors, from cameras, from switches, and lights. For convenience, what the smart home does to you, it actually enables your house to serve you instead of you serving your house. For example, in the past, we had to walk at night to make sure that the lights of the fence are on. When we leave the douaniya, we have to make sure the lights are off. All these things are you're doing to serve your home. The smart home will enable the other way around. They'll give you the convenience of your house serving you. For example, the light can be automated in the fence. Once the dusk occurs, the lights will be turned on automatically. Once the morning time, the lights will turn off automatically. So you can automate things in your house. The third thing is cost reduction. In the cost reduction element, we focus very much on the energy consumption. Smart home give you the visibility to see how much your house is consuming in terms of power, and control the appliances in your house to understand where your core consumptions in your house. So it gives you better visibility over your house. So to help you illustrate the ideas we're talking about, this is a small prototype, an example of 400 square meter house of one floor, where you have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a living room, air conditioning system, and a kitchen. So in this prototype, we can show you what are the capabilities of the smart home, what can you do, what are the possibilities, and how can you control your house in very basic level within the smart home. So in this prototype, what you really can do, you have switches that are smart, also mechanical, so you could actually click it or you could control it with the phone, and that's a Spanish brand. And you can control your lights in each room separately. You can control the dimmer in your bedroom. You can create scenes. For example, if you want to watch a movie, you can click one button, and that button will change the environment in your house to a cinema mode. The lighting will be changed to basically to fit the purpose of your living room. As well, the air conditioning system you can control, and all this can be controlled within a single application. One application on your phone, they control all these equipments wirelessly. So one advantages of having a smart home for your floor, you can control the entire floor from a single button. For example, you can have all on, your house will be all on. You could turn it off from one click as you leave the house. And then we're going to go through detail from each room and each system. So to help you illustrate what are the possibilities in this prototype, for example, you can control your bedroom light with a dimmer switch. You can control your curtains. You can control your bedroom and living room. You can control your toilets. And as you see, there's different type of switches for different type of applications as you require. So this to help you imagine what are the possibilities and what can you actually achieve. You can control your lights, you can control your air conditioning, you can control your curtain, your door lock, and the scenes in your environment. So within the solution, what you can achieve really, in addition to the normal mechanical switches, you have also a portable switch that you can take anywhere in the house. You can program the switch to control anything you want in your house, as long as it's smart. One additional advantages in the smart home switches is you can apply schedules. You can have the light automatically turns on a certain time, automatically turns off a certain time. You could have automation. For example, as I walk to the house, the whole house will turn on. As I walk out of the house, the whole house will turn off. In addition, you could monitor the consumption of electricity in each living room and in each bedroom and from each appliance that you connect the switches to. So how do we select a smart home company? In fact, it's not about selection of a smart home company. It's how do you partner with a smart home company? Because a smart home company is a consultant firm to you over time. There are 4 things that you have to consider are important when you partner with a smart home company. The number 1 is sustainability. I'm going to explain them to you. Number 1 is sustainability. Number 2 is scalability. Number 3, future-proof. Number 4 is affordable. So number 1, when you talk about sustainability, a smart home company should be a partner with you with a solution that can go with you long time. It's not a solution for a short period. So you have to understand the solution you're selecting is something that's going to be sustainable over time. In terms of scalability, some smart home companies today are small firms with great technology, but over time, if you select one company and you go with one product, then you're going to be locked into this product. So you have to be careful. When you select a smart home company, your product should be scalable and meets your needs over time as you live in your home. Number 3 is future-proof. By future-proof, we mean you have to do your due diligence over the products you buy, because these products could go out of market or could get an upgrade over time. So you have to select the products that are actually future-proof in terms of firmware updates, in terms of the companies are standing by their warranty, and these kind of factors. Number 4 is affordability. You have to understand, today, in today's market, smart home is not something that is expensive, or it's not considered as an expensive. It used to be a luxury to have a smart home system in your house, but today, it's not really a luxury. It's actually a requirement and a need. So you have to understand that the solution is becoming more affordable over time. So to recap, you need to go with a partner that can sit with you, that can teach you, that can give you the knowledge share of what they know, so you can really understand what you need. You should not go with a product-based company. You should go with a consultant company that can partner with you over time and have maintenance agreement with you that ensure your home is sustainable, scalable, future-proof, and affordable. Some of the mistakes that we find common, one is the clients don't really identify their needs. You need to have a phase with the company you're working with in which you start identifying your actual needs in your home. What are your requirements? So you really can tailor-make the solution to fit your purpose. Number 2 is cost-based analysis. Some clients, when they get the proposal for the smart home, they try to compare it with the normal products. In fact, the investment is not really comparable, because what you really want to compare is the value proposal. You have a value of a normal traditional home against a value of a smart automated home. So these are the two base analyses you have to focus on. Number three is basically clients, they try to execute the smart home in late phases in their house. So you have to understand, the best time to implement and design a smart home is during your foundation stage. When you try to think about having a smart home solution in your house, you need to find a company that can really go through step by step with you. They hold your hand and take you step by step through the learning phase, identifying your needs, trying to understand the projects you're trying to invest in, and what kind of aftermarket support they can provide you. These are the important factors you have to consider when you're trying to think about a smart home solution. At the end, we would like to share with you some tips that will help you in your cost management of your home. If your house is still under construction, then you need to immediately consult with a smart home company to help you in the design phase, and will help you in cost management so you don't have to reconstruct your house. If your house is complete and you're living in your house, then as you apply the smart home, try to manage in a way that you apply it in small portions of your house. For example, start with the living room or start with the bedroom. Get used to the system, and then you can scale it upwards with time. So make sure your consultant works closely with you over time, and it's not a one job and finish.